like one of the things like they keep talking about with this No Time to Die is like, oh, it's gonna tie up a lot of loose ends.
Yeah, that's the thing. The loose ends are all
What what
tied up.
loose what loose ends are they talking about? I don't get that. I
Yeah,
really don't get it. I don't. I thought Spectre kind of just cleared everything up.
yeah, they're
So
making new loose ends basically. Like they didn't need to continue the Madeline story, but they felt like, well, there are loose ends there because no one knows about her background. It's like, well, we basically didn't need to know about it
we
anyway.
did.
But it's,
You guys brought
it,
it up. You guys created the loose end. All right. So we I'm discussing the upcoming No Time to Die with Jeroen, aka Dutch Bond fan, the Dutch Bond fan. Um, and so like we're talking about this movie. We're anticipating that it will come out finally in October, I guess late September in the UK. I
yeah.
think this will be the definitive release date for this thing. We don't think it's going to be pushed back any again, do we?
Well, no, I hope not. I don't want to go into the COVID situation, but let's just hope this is the final one.
This is it. We're talking about some of our predictions, our expectations, like what we think, uh, what this movie is going to deliver, some of our concerns about it. For the last time, the
Yeah,
last time we
we've
did this,
done
it
it a
was like
couple of
2 years
years ago
ago when
too.
the trailer came
Yeah,
out. So like, um, and so like we're doing like 6 episodes. Dutch will be you'll be hosting the odd numbers over
right.
at his channel. We already got the ball rolling over at his channel, so you might want to check out some of these combos and subjects.
Yep.
And I'm going to be doing the evens. The even numbers can be found here. And for this segment, we're going to be talking about the No Time to Die story and our feelings about it, predictions, concerns. What will we see, Jeroen, in No Time to Die?
Right. So obviously the big thing that pops up in my mind is the Madeline's storyline. That's the
Uh,
big thing we're
mm,
gonna be seeing in No Time to Die. And believe it or not, I remember at the very end in of Spectre in the cinema. To me, it already felt like most people felt like that was the perfect ending to Craig. To me, that always felt like, how is this going to continue? Obviously, he needs to come back into service, and Madeline's probably going to get shot in the opening of the next film. That was my expectation then.
right.
But I think in my initial reaction video of Spectre, way back in 2015, first time seeing it in cinema, I already stated like they're probably going to do a movie next. They have to where he comes back into the service and Madeline gets killed in the opening. The opening killing of Madeline, that's no longer the case. That didn't end up happening. But they did end up bringing her back, and they did end up, getting him back to the service. It's not that hard to predict, and it's not. But a lot of the stuff ended up in here. But I think it's because they painted themselves in a corner. They needed to do something to continue this. If they, they obviously didn't want to go with a clean slate. They wanted to continue again. So
Mm.
then you need to do stuff like this, I feel.
So do you think like Craig could have had his On Her Majesty's Secret Service slash Diamonds Are Forever follow up in like one movie? It could have been open the movie with him riding out, Madeleine getting killed, then him going after, the baddies who are responsible for it.
Right. That was my expectation.
I think a lot of people were
Yeah.
thinking that that's how this would play out.
Yeah, and now it seems to go a lot deeper. Like it's not no longer M's past haunting her or someone else. This time it's Madeleine's past coming to haunt her and the demons that are in her past. And I don't know. I'm not too sure yet if I'm too interested in her. I would have been much more interested in seeing Monica Bellucci's character as the one Bond ended up falling in love with and seeing those two
Yeah.
return.
I'll
And
go with that.
yeah, if Madeleine and Bellucci's roles were swapped and we would watch Lucia Sciarra and Bond drive off, I think I would have been a lot more interested to see what would happen next. And also the opening in Italy would make sense because of Sciarra's character. So I think to me that would have been more interesting. But that's just personal because Madeleine never grew on me as a character. She never seemed that interesting to me.
It seems like now, I was never a Madeleine fan, but it seems now they're gonna finally try to make her interesting, whereas they should have done that back in Spectre.
That is
like they're gonna almost try to redeem her, like in some way, and give her this. I don't even know. Like, is she gonna be in this movie a lot?
Well, if you base it on the trailer, obviously you see her in the scenes in Italy, but you also see her in the headquarters. At least what I assume is MI6 headquarters, right next to Nomi. And then Bond is looking at her like, "Holy shit, she's back!" Like it's been a few years since he last saw her. So, what do you think is part of Madeleine's past that this story is going to be based around?
Who knows? They could make up anything.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, like the big thing in Spectre with her was her little story about hiding under the sink. Was it hiding? She was hiding under the sink with the gun and all that, and like that seemed like, okay, there's her history.
Yeah, when I was young, a man came to our house. And it's like, it feels like that set up what Safin is gonna be. Like a man came to our house, and the whole segment they filmed in Norway. Mm-hmm. I always felt like they might do a flashback of like a little girl, Madeleine, and
that was a whole rumor.
The only thing is, I don't think Malik's character is old enough to be the guy that comes to her house when she's a little girl. I think they're too similar in age, because there's like these shots of Safin with the mask coming in the snowy house, I believe, in the trailer. I don't know, because I assume that might be a flashback, but then again, from like Madeleine's youth, I mean. But then again, I don't know, the age difference would be suitable.
Like this backstory of hers, is it going to involve Mr. White still? In Spectre, she was kind of an innocent. She kind of removed herself from like her father's business and stuff. Maybe that was a lie. She had more to do with the organization of Quantum and Spectre than like she told Bond back in Spectre. Like she was the money manager or something, or I don't know.
But it feels like just like Vesper, she's probably blackmailed into a lot of the stuff going on in her back. A lot of it is out of her hands. I feel like she can't help it. I still feel the innocence could be very true, but she's just like Vesper became a victim of this big organization, and it comes back to haunt her.
I think that's one of one of the things in No Time to Die that, and it sounds like a lot when I say it, but like one of the things that I'm not really that excited about seeing Madeleine, like when they said, "Oh, Madeleine's going to be back," it's not like I jumped up and down.
Yeah.
when I heard that.
Even though she's like the first main Bond girl to return.
And unfortunately, she's not even. I wouldn't even put her in like. She's like one of the lamest. I mean, to me, she was like there was nothing to that girl.
Yeah. I do appreciate that they finally did it because I remember we talked about wanting Natalia back in Tomorrow Never Dies instead
Hmm.
of Paris
Yeah.
Carver.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There were moments I always felt like in A View to a Kill with Paula Ivanova that should have
Hmm.
been Anya Omasova and stuff. But here, yeah, they do seem like because there's this line in the trailer of Blofeld, who also returns, of course,
Hmm.
and he says something like, "If her secret makes its way out, it will be the end of everything." Something like that is the line. So that makes it like there's something big that if Bond knows about this, he won't accept her anymore or something. It's like there's some really dark secrets behind her.
So maybe like the secret could hurt Blofeld or his organization in some way,
Yeah,
and
or
that's when.
Bond. It's something that Bond doesn't need to know. Yeah, it's weird. And then there's also been rumors that like she has a child, and
Yeah, I saw a blurb of that. That Bond is going to be
the
Papa.
dad or something. That's another weird thing. Like I know I've never read the You Only Live Twice novel yet, but I do know there is stuff in there where Bond ends up having a child. I think in the You Only Live Twice novel, so they might grab some of the stuff from that novel, put it in, stick it in here, No Time to Die, where it also turned out like he has a child.
Honestly, like if I think I'd be more excited if they said, "Oh, Mr. Hinks is going to show up somewhere."
Yeah,
Then I would be more excited than like, "Oh, hey, Madeleine's coming back," or we
yeah.
got Lashana as a MI6 agent. I would
That's
be
the
more
one a
excited
lot
about.
of Bond fans wanted to see
Yeah,
return.
I would have loved to seen like another encore fight between those two.
Do you think he would have like a neck brace? Not like Elvis, but something with his neck because
Well,
of the way he.
like
Yeah,
Blofeld did in Majesties at the end has that
yeah.
big thing. No, he's too tough. He healed up. Is that? Do you think like starting from Casino Royale because supposedly this is going to tie up a lot of the loose ends that supposedly
Yeah,
are dangling.
yeah.
Uh,
The
but
loose ends they keep
yeah,
making up.
after they make them in the first half an hour, then they're going to have to tie these things up because they're all tied up to me right
Right.
now. But him having a kid was that signaled anyway in Casino Royale? Like that's where he was going to be? Like he was going to be a
No,
deadbeat
not
dad
at
or
all.
something?
But considering the large gap we've had since 2015, he can have a child who's already like pretty much in middle school.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
since that gap, so it is possible if they keep it in like if they keep up the trend of the movie takes place in the present time, then well, a lot of stuff could have happened since
I mean,
two thousand fifteen.
that was one of the problems with like it's been so long since Spectre. Like I think they're literally saying, "Oh, it's been 5 years since Spectre now."
Yeah,
In the movie, which is funny because
it
their
turned out
time,
in real life
yeah,
yeah,
they're so Eon is so weird with like their times because like
yeah.
remember Quantum of Solace was supposed to take place an hour after
Takes
Casino and
1 hour. Yeah. Didn't it ever feel to you like when Wilson said that in the press conference, like it literally takes place an hour after the movie?
yeah,
Like he
yeah,
made it up on the spot, like an hour. He was thinking about, and then he just gave something like it was an hour, and it never felt like it was an
he,
hour.
I think I think Mike he's kind of he's getting older now.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not paying too much attention to like the scripts.
Yeah, no, he does seem to like the other press conference to this movie on Jamaica. He's like,
Yeah.
well, I can't remember the last time we
Oh,
announced the title on these things. They always do.
reveal. God, how long ago does it feel like that reveal happened?
That was 2019. That was all pre-COVID. And there's also the whole Safin part of the story. Like, what is his plan gonna be? Like, what is his big like? There's like these. He has a villain lair. We know that much. I don't see him doing a world domination, set up two countries against each other, classic story. There's gonna be something with surveillance again or something.
I figure like like Safin. I figure okay, he's up to no good. He's gonna be doing something. He's gonna destroy a country or missiles or gas or what something. Nomi's gonna be on that mission to stop him, and then Madeleine's past involves Safin, which brings Bond into the fold. He's got to go after Safin, parallel to like Nomi. He's going after Safin for more of a personal angle. Nomi's going after him because that's her job, and like
Right.
they're gonna team up, Jeroen, and stop the
That's
baddie.
gonna bound up to happen, and obviously they're not gonna like each other much.
Yeah.
That's already known from the
What,
trailers.
what what
But
what does she say to him? Like,
stay in your lane.
stay in your
Yeah,
lane,
yeah,
Bond. Get out of my way.
yeah. And then something about his leg, the one that works.
Oh yeah, yeah. Shoots in the.
But also the thing, another part of the story is like there supposedly is this professor. Remember one of these
Oh
posters, like,
yeah, yeah.
and from I think from the synopsis there was some, because it's been so long, but there's something about
I
there's
can't
something about
remember it.
Felix Leiter. He's going to be the key that brings Bond back into the mix.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
Bond's
yeah.
going to meet
Right.
Felix on
So,
Jamaica or Cuba, one of those. And then he's gonna probably do one of those "I'm bleeding chips," one of those lines like "We need you back
yeah.
in the mix."
So like Bond will get like little drops of information from Felix, from Blofeld, maybe Madeleine will give up a little bit of information, and that's going to point him in the direction of Safin.
Yeah,
And then he'll have to go back. Oh, hi Q. This is. Can you help me? He says, "Oh, I'm helping 007." What?
yeah.
That's the reason for her getting the 007
Another
reaction
joke
like
in
that.
there. Yeah,
And then he'll team up with Nomi.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, I would have been fine with this just being a standalone movie.
I know, and I know that the majority of people, and actually in a way, because they keep um, painting themselves into a corner and keep making this more and more convoluted. In a way, I feel similar. I do like continuity more, but I'm happy to tie it up with this movie and start fresh in the next one.
At the end of Spectre, he drives off with Madeleine. Like that's what all this hinges on. Like this story that he
Yeah.
retired and is going off with Madeleine. Couldn't you just say it was just a standard Bond ending? You could read it both ways. That Bond is just riding off to vacation with the Bond girl, and he'll be back. I don't
Yeah.
understand like where all of a sudden this came up that he retired, that he left, because it's almost like a traditional Bond ending, that Spectre.
I
Like
think it's because that is the moment on the bridge, Inspector, where um, he's pointing the gun at Blofeld, and then he symbolically throws his arms away, and on the one side of the bridge there's his job, M,
hmm
and on the other side is the girl that didn't want to be with him if he keeps up this job, and then he symbolically makes the choice, throws his arms away, and goes to her. He chooses to leave the service. That's where it came from.
mm.
He was on the bridge between two choices, literally, and he picked Madeline instead of his job, throwing away his gun.
But couldn't you say like, okay, he just chose not to kill Blofeld, and he's going to go off with the girl, and he's not necessarily leaving the service or M.
Yeah, I think it's because of the line of Madeline in London before the bridge. Like she says, like she needs to leave because she can't take the life Bond is in,
Oh,
and
mm.
that's the and Bond chose to for her to leave the life for her. I think that's where it all came from. But you're
Because
right. They didn't need to write it like that. But I think that's where it all came from. It started from
I
that
mean,
moment.
it's for the next Bond actor, they really got to lock him in to the amount of movies, because everybody said, oh, that's a good send off for Craig's Bond, now he's coming back, and you got to try to figure out, well,
It's
what are
such
we
a
gonna do?
disadvantage, isn't it? Because you never go like at the end of Die Another Day, or I mean, like Tomorrow Never Dies. Like, oh, Bond is on a boat with Wei Lin. Now they have to write what happens between Wei Lin and Bond in the next one. We never expected that because we know
Yeah,
he wouldn't be in the next one
yeah.
because that was never a thing. But at the end of Spectre, I already assumed
It's all this
like, what are they
continuity.
going to do now that Bond leaves the service? How is this going to continue? Because that's what they keep doing. They keep continuing stuff with the Craig movies. Like, yeah, it's a huge disadvantage. I can't imagine how frustrating it must be for the writers. Like, all right, you're going to write a Bond movie. Oh, fantastic! I've got plenty of ideas. No, 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 no.
Yeah,
He drove off with Madeleine in the previous movie. Who's Madeleine? Watch Spectre.
right.
And then and you go see this. So like they need to do. Oh, and so there's already a set of rules for these writers that needs to be in, which I think is a huge creative disadvantage to try and make sense of it all.
I mean, maybe it would have been better, like, that would have been his last one. Like, time wise, like, it was like 5 years or 6 years, something like, since Craig's last Bond. In that time
Yeah,
frame, they we could have geared us up for like a brand new Bond
right.
actor, like, for this one, like 5 years. I don't understand, like, the next time that they roll. Who knows when the next movie will come out? Bond 26.
Probably
But like,
2040 or something, maybe.
yeah, yeah, they're rushing that out. Uh,
No, but it's true because we've only had two movies in the 2010s. It's only Spectre and
yeah,
Skyfall. It's like,
but it would have been like, okay, now, like, this was a long enough gap that it could have readied us for like a whole new series instead of the finale of, supposedly, that's going to tie up all these loose ends that are
yeah.
with loose ends.
Yeah, it's that's the thing with No Time to Die. I like to think of myself as a pretty optimistic person, but every time I end up talking about this movie, we
I know.
automatically go
Yeah.
into the negative because it's just how it's geared up to be. I don't even expect it to be that much of a terrible movie, but there's so much.
I
I
guess
think it's because it's been so long. We should have already been talking about this movie in retrospect. You know.
just seems yeah it just seems like it's going to be, the story's unnecessarily messy, as if they just did a standalone.
Yeah.
Like, they just start, okay, fine, he's been retired for 5 years, whole new set of characters. You could bring back Felix and, like, some of these people, a different reason for him to get into some action. Like, it's some more personal stuff. This whole series, it, it feels like a therapy session. Like, every time out, it's like some kind
Right.
of emotional thing. Like.
Yeah, don't you think it's kind of a shame? Like it's time again to have Bond just be, the classic guy. He comes on escapism. He bangs a few chicks and he saves the day.
Yeah,
And at the end, because I don't think we'll ever see Bond just making out with a girl on some waterbed in the Chinese Sea, and then
yeah.
James Bond will return.
That's
Those
he
times are gone.
he's got to carry scars, like, every time out he does a mission. Like, that song. I forget who did it. I wish I was James Bond,
Yeah.
just for the day.
Kissing all the girls, blow the bad guys away.
You
Yeah.
know it. Uh,
Yeah. I sing it all the time.
but would you want to be Craig's Bond?
No, that's the thing. I think, yeah, because there's so much that comes with it. You know, I know a lot of people clothing wise, like, ask Savitsky. They want to be like Craig, and
Hmm.
I could agree. The guy looks fit. He gets the girl. He is still James Bond. But you are right. He's not much of that classic
Like a,
superhero. Not
like
that
that.
he needs to be untouchable like Brosnan's with the machine guns, but
Mhm.
um, you're right. There's a lot of therapy going on with his
Yeah.
movies.
Like, he's not really like the fantasy figure that, like, I would aspire to be. Like, Roger Moore. Oh, hey, just You show up in the restaurant, the bartender chick, she flirts with you. You get the coat check chick, you bring her out. Oh, there's a bad guy, you shoot her.
Yeah.
You know, all this fun
All while
stuff.
sipping a martini and
Yeah, and like you don't even get your suit mussed or anything.
right. And it's funny because that's the stuff we criticize too when we watch those. Like, oh,
Yeah.
he's too cardboard, and it's like we're never satisfied. I know, but
I know, I know. We sound like such
it's
whiners.
it is, but
But like I
yeah,
think like he needs a little bit of more fun. Like that was one thing I did kind of like Inspector. Like,
the
was like
humor.
they tried to bring in a little bit. Like he lands on the couch, like
Yeah,
silly, but
yeah.
or his parachute and like he just pops it off and oh
Good
good
evening.
yeah
That's the stuff I really, really appreciated about Spectre as well. Like this, to have that stuff back, and Craig seemed like a different Bond in Spectre. In some ways, there was much more of the one-liners. The opening comes to mind where he talks to C, the
oh
next
yeah
deputy,
hmm
and like, oh, that all sounds marvelous. Like the sarcastic stuff and
hmm
the cynical side of him. Yeah, and I enjoyed that a lot more. I do hope they bring a lot more of that side of the character back in No Time to Die.
I mean, does it seems like the story's kind of heavy, too heavy. Well, maybe they could incorporate it in some little, like probably would know me a lot,
I
but
think no Spectre is definitely going to be the most light-hearted ones in terms of the tone, for the most part at least. Spectre has some serious stuff too, but
is this
of the Craig movies.
2 hours 43 minutes or something? It's gonna clock in at No Time to
Oh
Die.
really? Oh, you already know.
Oh yeah, I think
I
they
had no
released.
clue.
I saw that number. I assumed, holy mackerel! But if, like
Would
it,
that be the longest Bond movie? Yeah, I don't know because it
yeah,
is. It
yeah,
is the longest one.
because yeah, that was what did it say? I think it was gonna be No Time to Die was 2 hours 43 minutes. Spectre was 2.5 hours. So
So
this would be the
15 minutes
longest.
longer. I wonder if it includes all the multiple endings they with them.
All that.
And it would say ending one, and it would go into different endings. No, but it's
But like 2 hours 43 minutes. Hopefully, that could be a very dour experience if like they don't have any kind of little humor sprinkled throughout it or like
you're right.
heavy
You're
drama
right.
or like
I hope it will feature some of that. Yeah.
um anyway.
I do know because speaking of the humor in the trailer, the thing we like, I think you enjoyed as well, is like when
Oh, I know what you'll say.
When Bond comes back at the office and they don't know who he is.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like the Bond, and then the guy James Bond, and then the guy has no clue, and that bit I enjoyed.
See, I don't think I would wish to be James Bond. Nobody recognizes you.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
fun anymore.
it's totally different to what Roger Moore experienced. But I am a fan of the continuity. For example, I love that Jeffrey Wright is going to return as Felix Leiter.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that'll be a nice thing to
that
see those two together. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, they didn't just cast another guy like in the old days. It's like, for fans, that for me, that does it. If you one day sit down and watch all the Craig movies, at least they're going to be familiar faces and a story that continues. Um, we know a little bit about the history of how Bond met the new Moneypenny in this era, and it's going to continue with her and stuff. But so far, the Craig storyline hasn't been that impressive of a stories of what they made it out to be when they laid the groundwork for Casino Royale. Back when Casino Royale came out, it really felt like, wow, now they've got some fresh new stuff to build on. But now it turned into this snowball where they keep painting themselves into corners.
They never, and we all know they never planned any of this out.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Like if you watch Casino Royale, and you see that as the beginning of a story, James Bond story, this James Bond story, Craig's Bond story, where, in what direction do you think it's headed towards? Like you could hear like his line says, I understand 007 have a short life expectancy.
Right.
So 5 movies on, would it be? Is that where he's headed? He's going to die in the line of duty at some point. Like we've seen, like, you know, these other double O's get killed and stuff.
Well, I think if we're going to go into that topic of how would you do a definitive ending to the guy, and if we go back to the killing him off, I think the only way they would write killing off Bond would obviously not be like he gets shot and that's it. He would probably sacrifice himself. He would rescue Madeleine, or maybe even Lashana's character, Nomi. And then, you know, he would kind of die in the same way that M did in Skyfall, like heroically. Well, M didn't sacrifice herself, but that would kind of be a way to do it. Like people will be teary-eyed and like, oh, this is the end of Bond. But
And then
is there anyone
like,
who would want to see that?
And say like they did that, he's not a double O anymore.
No.
He survived his status as being 007, so like now he's just like I don't know, like he's just a regular person of the public, and he's gonna die like that. It's gonna be decent. It's gonna be a decent movie. It's just like, you know.
Oh, like you said in the previous episode, we expect it to be in the middle of the correct movies.
Yeah.
Anything higher is amazing. You know, lower would be a shame, but that's what we expect. I think story-wise, they could have interesting stuff to keep us entertained.
Hopefully, yeah. It just seems like they box themselves in a lot with a lot of the Spectre stuff and Madeleine stuff. Yeah. They could have given themselves a lot more leeway if it was like standalone, but it'll be decent. It'll be decent. We're probably gonna have gripes.
We probably would have with even the most amazing Bond movies. So that's the nature of Bond fans.
This one, it's not gonna be on the scale of like, you know, Quantum or anything like that. Like bad-wise.
There was no writer strike, and you know, it seems Fukunaga is a capable director from what I'm expecting. So
that's enough on this one. Let's move on to another topic, shall we, Jeroen?
We'll move on to episode 3 back on my channel. Hope you guys enjoyed this once again, regardless of being a little bit pessimistic maybe towards this movie. But I hope you enjoyed this as an insightful conversation once again.
Yeah. I still only watched Spectre twice.
In all these years. I think I saw it maybe a dozen times, a little bit less, I think.
Holy crap.
Well, it's been 5 years, so in that time I did see it a few times, but not as much as the others yet.